There is a reason the Sermon on the Mount still unsettles people today. Not because it is confusing, but because it is clear. We have grown used to hearing it as encouragement, filled with soft words and familiar phrases. But when Jesus spoke these words, comfort was not the goal. Transformation was. The sermon was not preached to make people feel safe. It was spoken to make people honest. Jesus did not stand on that hillside to offer advice. He revealed a way of life that runs completely opposite to the world. That is why the sermon still confronts us. It refuses to stay theoretical. It demands reflection. It presses against our assumptions and exposes how deeply we rely on comfort instead of truth. One of the most quoted lines begins with blessing. Blessed are the poor in spirit. We often hear that and assume weakness or low confidence. But that is not what Jesus meant. To be poor in spirit is not to think less of yourself. It is to stop trusting yourself completely. It is the moment you realize that effort alone will never be enough. The poor in spirit recognize that strength will not sustain them, and control is an illusion. They are the ones who finally let go, and that is uncomfortable. Everything around us teaches self-reliance and personal strength. Jesus says the kingdom begins where self-reliance ends. What we release is often what God redeems. Then Jesus goes further. You have heard it said, but I say to you. Again and again, he takes what people thought they understood and exposes how shallow that understanding really was. Anger is not harmless. Lust is not private. Love is not selective. The sermon stops sounding poetic and starts sounding personal. This was not meant to shame anyone. It was meant to reveal something deeper. Righteousness is not about modifying behavior. It is about transforming the heart. You can follow rules and still miss the point. You can appear faithful and still be far from God. The Sermon on the Mount pulls the mask away. Then Jesus says something many people skip past. Enter through the narrow gate. Not the popular gate, not the comfortable one. The narrow gate does not appeal to pride. It does not reward shortcuts. It does not promise ease. Few find it because the narrow way requires surrender before it ever brings peace. We often want the blessings of the Sermon on the Mount without the surrender it demands. But Jesus never separated the two. The sermon is not a checklist for perfection. It is an invitation into dependence. Jesus was not raising the bar to show failure. He was revealing how deeply we need him. The sermon does not say try harder. It says come closer. It does not say be flawless. It says be honest. The weight you feel when reading it is not condemnation. It is conviction pointing toward grace. What feels heavy is often what leads us home. This is why the sermon ends with a warning. Two foundations, one built on sand, one on rock. The storms are the same. The outcomes are not. Jesus makes it clear that hearing his words is not enough. Agreement is not obedience. The difference is not knowledge. It is response. That may be why the sermon still unsettles us. It does not allow faith to remain theoretical. It asks to be lived, quietly, daily, when no one is watching. The Sermon on the Mount is not about earning heaven. It is about what happens when heaven reshapes the heart. If the sermon feels heavy, that does not mean you are failing. It means you are listening. The words that confront us the most are often the same words inviting us into something real. Not comfort, not performance, but transformation.